Welcome to the module on flexible pavement. In this module, we will talk about the application of tack coat. Generally, tack coat is applied between the two bituminous layers or between a concrete layer and a bituminous layer. If you see the cross section of the road and the construction practices involved in making a flexible pavement, you have a number of layers starting from subgrade, subbase, road base, and then the asphalt layers. Prime coat is generally applied between a road base and the asphalt layer, that is between the non-bituminous layer and the bituminous layer. But a tack coat application is generally done between the two bituminous layers, or when the prime coat is applied and immediately it is not being covered with a bituminous layer and is left for a longer duration of time, then also before starting the bituminous work, we apply a tack coat and then proceed for the work. So in general, we can say tack coat is the application between the bituminous layers. What is meant by a tack coat? So tack coat, also known as the band coat, is a light application of asphalt emulsion between hot mix asphalt layers designed to create a strong adhesive bond without slippage. Heavier applications may be used under porous layers or around patches where it is also function as a seal coat. Tack coat sprayed application of an asphalt binder upon an existing asphalt or a Portland cement concrete pavement surface prior to an overlay or between the layers of the new asphalt concrete. This is the meaning. Asphalt tack coat is made up of undiluted emulsions, an emulsion which consists primarily of a paving grade binder, water, and an emulsifying agent. What is the necessity of a tack coat? If a surface is relatively new, clean, and smooth, a medium amount of tack coat is normally needed. This is due to the fact that little tack coat material will be absorbed by the existing surface, and the minimal amount of tack coat material will be needed to offset the dust on the surface. A tack coat is sprayed on the surface of an existing asphalt or a concrete pavement by a distributor truck immediately prior to the placing of an overlay. The goal is to achieve uniform coverage over the entire surface to be paved. Once the tack coat is in place, it should be given time to cure and become tacky so that the next layer of bituminous pavement can be laid. What materials generally we use for doing a tack coat application? Cationic emulsion, cationic bitumen emulsion of RS1, that is rapid setting grade 1, conforming to IS 888-72018 as per Annexure A, or suitable low viscosity paving bitumens of VG10 grade conforming to IS 73. The use of cutback bitumen RC70 as per IS 217 shall be restricted only for the sites at sub-zero temperatures or for emergency applications as directed by the engineer. So in tack coat we can use emulsions, we can use VG10 grade of bitumen grade conforming to VG10, or we can use the cutback bitumen of RC70, that is rapid curing 70 grade as per IS 217. So what should be the rate of spray of a tack coat? The application of tack coat shall be at the rate specified in the MORTH table 500.5, and it shall be applied uniformly. If the rate of application of tack coat is not specified in the contract, then it shall be the rate specified in table 500.5 only. No dilution or heating at the site of RS1 bitumen emulsion shall be permitted. Paving bitumen, if used for tack coat, shall be heated to appropriate temperatures in bitumen boilers to achieve the viscosity less than 2 points. The normal range of spraying temperature for a bituminous emulsion shall be 20 degrees to 70 degrees, and for cutback it is 50 degrees to 80 degrees centigrades. When we see the rate of spray for bituminous surfaces, so the rate of spray should be 0.2 to 0.3 kg per square meters. Over primed surfaces, it is 0.25 to 0.3 kg per square meters, and over cement concrete pavements, it is 0.3 to 0.35 kg per square meters. So the spray bar should be set high enough to get the double coverage as shown in the figure. The spray bar should be set to get enough coverage as shown in the figure, because it should not be touching too close to the surface. The height of the spray bar should be adjusted in such a way that it should get maximum coverage, maybe the double coverage or the triple coverage. So if you see the photograph, you have three heights of spray bar being shown. The first one is having at such a height so that each nozzle, the area covered by each nozzle spray is touching the boundary of the other nozzle. So this is having the minimum coverage as far as the nozzle is concerned. So what is required is the height should be adjusted in such a way that the area covered by the first nozzle should have at least half of the area covered by the second nozzle being overlapped, so that the quantity being sprayed in this surface area will be double the coverage. So in this way you can always speed up the process of application also. Or otherwise your height, if that is the double height is considered a double coverage height is considered as edge, then 1.5 times the edge if you keep the spray bar, you will get triple the coverage in each cases. So this is how you can adjust your spray bar height, but at any point of time it should not be touching the boundaries of the area being covered by each nozzle, because that is giving you the minimum spray coverage, and there is a possibility that you will end up with some uncovered areas between the two boundaries of the nozzles being sprayed across the surface. So when we talk about the nozzle setting or the angle that needs to be maintained in the nozzle, you see the plan of the nozzle in this particular case. You have an axis, so the angle of a nozzle which is required to be open should be in the range of 15 to 30 degrees, and all nozzles should be set at that particular range or particular angle only. It should not so happen that one nozzle is at 30 degrees, the second one is at 60, and the third one is at 90 degrees. Why? Because if you set the nozzles randomly, that means when the nozzle of the spray bars were set randomly, set at different angles ranging from 30, 60 and 90, the spread directions will shift accordingly, and one will find lines as seen in the photograph, resulting in a non-uniform application of tack codes. You see the photographs, the correct specification or the correct opening should be that each nozzle should be opened at a fixed angle matching the other nozzles opening. If you have a second opening nozzle opening distribution, if you see, one nozzle is at 60, second is at 90, then nozzle 60, and then that means you have shifted the coverage area, and then the result will be that you will have some areas being sprayed with the primer, and some areas will not at all being covered with the priming surfaces. You will have lines as shown in the photograph on the right hand side. So to avoid these type of applications, you must ensure that the nozzle has to be at an angle of 15 to 30 degrees, and all the nozzles should be at the same angle of opening with respect to the axis of the spray bar. So some of the placement considerations for tack coat, if we see, a surface free of substances is critical. So a dirty or a dusty surface will inhibit the ability of the tack coat to bond, potentially resulting in a slippage plane. The fine dust coating can occur overnight, and a sweeper should be used to remove the dust. If some parts of the state, in some parts of the states, if you see, liquid agricultural waste spilled on the surface. For example, juice of your tomatoes leaked on the highways during the harvesting seasons may need to be removed by washing prior to application of tack coat, because this will also create a slippery surface or a slippage plane between the two asphaltic planes. So if you see, some of the examples of laying a tack coat. Like in the photograph, you can see there is an excess application of tack coat in some or one portion of the road which is being constructed. So what one should do is you have to immediately clean up this area before applying or before covering with the next layer of asphalt mixes, because if you want to hide it and mix it, if you run the mix over it, you will have a separation membrane which is thicker than the normal one, and this will ultimately lead to a slippage plane. So what is the remedial action which one can take is you can apply lime or sand or some material which is absorbing in nature, so that the excess material, the excess emulsion which is being applied is being absorbed by the material sprayed over it. In addition, in this particular case, we have applied lime. So you can see the cracks clearly. That means the lime is being absorbed by the excess emulsion material which is being laid in that particular site. You can use tools to remove the material which is mixed with lime and emulsion. So this is how you can clean up the area finally, and brushing it cleanly and neatly. Once that cleaning part is done, you can run the paver to pave the next layer of bituminous layer. It can be any layer, maybe a DBM second layer or the BCs, which is the final layer in any asphalt construction activities. Similarly, obtain the required test reports and certificates of compliance for each truckload of emulsions or asphalt binder before the application of tack coat starts, because compare the test reports and the specifications. It is important to understand that the material which is being used as a tack coat should meet the requirements of the tack coat. That means it should be a rapid setting material rather than a slow setting material, the first point, because if you apply a slow setting material in tack coat, then the material will not set, and ultimately if you apply the if you lay the say next course of bituminous layer over a tack coat which is having a material of slow setting, it will always form a slippage plane. So shipment may be used before sampling or and testing if the certificates of compliance and the test results accompanying them comply with the specifications. Obtain the initial load slips and weight certificates from each load of emulsions or asphalt binders. For diluted emulsions, obtain weight or meter readings to determine the emulsion dilution ratios and pay quantities. If partial loads were used, collect the weighback slip to determine pay quantities. Apart from the pay quantities, it is also important because it will tell you how much area you are going to be covered with the tack coat, because there is a spray rate which has to follow as far as the tack coat application is concerned. So depending upon the quantity available, you decide how much area you want to do a tack coat application in the project. So if that much area is not being covered, that means the weight of the material which is being carried by the truck is either less or your application rate is high. So it is essential that the application should be uniform. Distributor application rates are dependent upon the pump rates and the speed of the truck, which is generally fixed or freezed during the trial sessions in order to maintain or in order to confirm what should be the speed of the truck and what should be the pumping rate with which the emulsion is being sprayed on top of the surface. When we say curing of a tack coat, the bond between the interlayer surfaces starts forming as soon as the emulsion breaks. Usually, most of the tack coat materials requires 1 to 2 hours to fully cure or set. It is generally recommended to let the materials completely cure before placing the new HMA layer on top of them. So this is the reason why we say that if the tack coat is not having a material conforming to the RS1 grade, and if you are by mistake using an SS1 grade, then it will not be cured in 1 or 2 hours. That it will not set, or the emulsions will not break, and it will not have an interlayer surface. So ultimately it will develop a slippage plane between the HMA layers. So this is the photograph which indicates, in my opinion, is the perfect application of tack coat, which is smooth, uniform, and in having a perfect tackiness and ready to receive the new HMA layer. When we talk about the quality control or the test required to be conducted as far as the emulsion or as far as the tack coat application is concerned, the quality of the binder is one of the most critical part which one has to check. That means number of samples per lot and the test as per IS 73 or IS 217 and IS 8887 depending upon the binder which you are using. Binder temperature for applications that has to be anyway to be checked at regular close intervals, and the rate of spread generally we do it using a tray test, which is explained in detail in my previous module, that is prime coat application. The similar way again the tray test has to be conducted to check the application of tack coat as far as the rate of spread is concerned. And the frequency to be followed is again the same frequency, that is 3 tests per day's job in the project. So the checks and controls which one has to take care as far as the application of tack coat is concerned. Tack coat shall not be applied on a wet primed surfaces. A spray trial to be conducted to fix the speed of the spray tanker to achieve the spray to achieve the uniform spray as per the tolerance specified. Any oil spilled over the prime surface is observed. The patch should be totally cleaned and top surface shall be removed before applying a tack coat. Like any diesel or any oil leakage from any equipment on top of a prime coat or on top of the bituminous road, that is the DBM, maybe the DBM first layer, on which you want to have a DBM second layer, and you have seen that after the completion of a DBM first layer and with the passage of traffic on that, you have patches of areas where some of the oil leakage has been observed, then those needs to be cleaned up properly before application of the tack coat. Any unabsorbed material shall be first be blotted with a light application of either sand or lime or any absorbing material. The idea is to absorb the excess applications or excess material which is being there on top of the HMA layer, and apply a fresh tack coat and then proceed with the new HMA layers. Immediately after spraying the tack coat, laying of asphalt should commence. Immediately after spraying of the tack coat, generally like within a period of say 1 hour or 1.5 hours, because you need to give the sufficient curing time. So it's not immediately, but anyway it takes time to at least an hour's gap is sufficient to make the tack coat ready to receive the new HMA materials. The speed of the spray tanker shall generally be restricted to 15 to 20 kilometers per hour, and care should be taken to avoid replacement of drivers. Generally, the trained drivers are being deputed on the spray tanker so that they know what should be the speed by which they have to move and what should be the sequence of movement of the spray tankers, and how to make sure that the spraying application of the emulsions in terms of say tack coat or prime coat is uniform and there is no deviation as far as the rate of spray requirement is concerned. So finally, in summary, we talked about the definitions of tack coat in flexible pavement, the importance of tack coat in flexible pavements, the controls required during the application of tack coats, specifications and the materials and the rate of applications of tack coats, and finally the adjustments required in spray bar setting as far as the application of tack coat is concerned. Thank you.